Hey there, it's Nolan and Jason with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
Hey guys, today's topic, and I'll go into it in a minute, is why I know you can beat the other roofers marketing in your city. And I added another sentence, get in top 3 and dominate.
That's a long title.
That's a long title, and I'll go into it, but I'm going to put Jason on the spot and ask you just some BS, some bullshit to start out with.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and y'all may not know, but evidently Jason has had French lessons.
Oh, yes.
And went
long time ago.
Yeah, went in with me about how to say Jean or whatever the hell.
Yeah, just pronunciation.
What was the differences in the N's or the O's or something?
Oh, yeah. I-N is eh, A-N is and O-N is on.
All right.
It's that weird kind of, just like the R.
Right.
Like in Spanish, you roll the R, you go like Ronaldo.
So Jason can...
In French, you gutturally, you hockaloogian, but you get like an R is Raoul.
Okay.
Like you're trying to spit.
For what? Which
like name in R. The letter R is different.
So
and an N after a vowel on the end of the word is an on sound up in your nose instead of just an N.
I can't do it. I can't do it. But Jason, and I don't know if this is true, but I feel like you enjoy kind of putting me in my place with language and grammar and making me feel like some backwoods hick.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm Cajun, and he was looking at an ad for a local restaurant that serves boudin.
Boudin.
Which is a Cajun boudin.
Boudin. I can't.
Or boudin, if you're speaking more Creole, and he called it boudin. I'm Cajun. I was like, no.
Anyway, so you have the dichotomy of all that.
That's a big word.
It is. Thank you, Jason. And then he knows everything there is to know about American wrestling, about old school.
I don't know about everything.
So no, everything, which arguably people use to make fun of white people sometimes, like that we're redneck
that's white trash entertainment and all that.
Right, and I like wrestling too, not to the extent that you like it.
I had a few first dates, never get to a second date back in the day because I watched wrestling.
You would take them to wrestling?
No, I didn't take them. I just it would come up I don't even know how it came up in conversation, but I would mention that I liked it.
So you weren't.
I literally ghosted me after that.
That's really.
But if you go back to the 80s. If you went to the Sportatorium in Dallas to see the Von Erichs, there was women everywhere.
To see the Von Erichs.
Oh yeah, you'd see that was like a society thing in Dallas in the 80s. You'd see women in like their evening gowns.
So Von Erichs were the panty droppers.
Oh my God,
yes.
80s. Oh yeah, the Von Erich boys were like, oh my God, yeah. It was insane.
I had no idea.
You'd have, for those that don't know, the Sportatorium in Dallas is no longer there. It was torn down years ago. It was essentially little more than a barn.
Okay.
And they had a wrestling ring in the middle.
Sounds like a nice venue, though.
And no, it wasn't. Absolutely not. It was horrible.
Really?
Oh my God. It was a barn. It had bleachers. It didn't even have seats. It had no AC or heat.
Okay. Well, you lost me on that.
The health department once came in and went to their concession stand and made them drain the frying vats.
Yeah.
And they found like hundreds of rat skeletons in the bottom of the frying vats because the rats would run across the pipes and fall in and get killed. Yeah. And they just keep frying in that same oil.
Pretty sure there's a Whataburger, or Whataburger. If you're from Texas, you call it Waterburger. But I'm pretty sure there's a video of Whataburger with a mouse they were trying to catch that jumped in the fries, and then they closed the restaurant down. But my kids won't eat there anymore. Not that we ever did. But anyway.
Yeah, but like the Sportatorium was like this horrible venue.
Yeah,
but it was absolutely electric, and like that was the place to be.
And women would line up to see.
Oh God, yes, yeah. Carrie and Kevin and the boys just got
the claw. With the
iron claw.
The iron claw.
Started by their father, Fritz.
All right, anyway.
Nice little aside.
I told you we'd start with some bullshit. I
can talk about that all day.
I like bullshit though. Like it's like life's not interesting if everybody's always straight laced all the time. I can't stand it. But yeah, I watch a little wrestling too back in the day. I don't anymore really. You still like follow all these old dudes.
I kind of follow the old school guys. The modern stuff I don't really care for.
Anyway, it's interesting. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this as far as why I know. So I wanted to. This will be an interesting topic too, as far as you know what I'm going to say basically, and why someone can beat someone else in a market. So let's break down the roofers as a whole from what my view, and you feel free to chime in if you think my numbers are off, but I'm going to say that 90% of roofers out there will never obtain the type of marketing that we provide here. Will never even aspire or try. Now, I run a new podcast now. We do a new podcast called Roofer's Paradise, and I talk about dreams on Roofer's Paradise and what a roofer's intention is, you know, what their hopes are in life. And in my opinion, most of the time, people don't try marketing because of perception, false in perception, and letting their brain just be infected with negativity. Yeah, I can't do it. So 90% of people are gone.
That guy's been in business. He's been on #1 spot in Google for 10 years. I'm never taking that spot from him. That kind of thing.
Yeah, when I started, my brain took a while to get up to where, like, okay, I can do it. I didn't start out the highest level of confidence. Low self-esteem was where I started out. I think that's why men are called punk asses. You know, like very few men are not a punk ass until after like 25 or so.
Oh, absolutely.
And it has to do with self-esteem. There's a couple of shiny.
We're going to get a lot of hate mail from under 25s.
Well, they're punk asses. There's a few of them that are shiny bastards starting at like 16, right? They're just like getting the girls, and like, I don't know, there's like a few outliers, right? Yeah. But most men are punk asses until a certain age, which means that they have low self-esteem, basically. That punk ass guy has no experience and low self-esteem. You could have no experience and high self-esteem, not necessarily be a punk ass, you know. But that guy's not gonna. This is good talk. So this is
punk ass should have been in the title.
Yeah, it should have been. Punk asses never dominate for roofer market. Yeah, there you go. Maybe we'll change it. Punk asses will never dominate for.
There you go. J-Matt will hate it.
No, you won't.
But our crowd will probably.
It's interesting. Well, our crowd, I mean, it's my peers. I'm the same way anyway. So, but 90% of people will never even try to market, right? Because of false misconceptions.
Or if they do, they'll do it so they'll get it so wildly wrong-headed.
Agreed.
That they might as well not have done it.
Agreed. Yeah. They got life DDT'd their ass, or Von Erich their damn forehead, right? They're gorgeous, blood from the beginning, never had a chance, right? Andre the Giant just sits on them, and they can't move. Life just beat them down. They're never going to freaking make it.
Right.
So 90% of your competition, gone. I'm telling you, gone. For whatever reason, and it's sad, but gone, right? And you don't have to be perfect starting out. I wasn't there. It took me a long time. But they're gone. And then the 10% that are left, we run into that crowd.
Right.
So that crowd calls
by and large, that's the crowd that calls us.
That's the crowd that calls us. We don't get all that 10%. I wish we did. But we get a small amount of those people come through us. But there's about 10% of them that are a little more savvy, that are roaming around. They're like, I'm willing to fight for it, right?
Right.
And so out of that 10%, we have some successful people within that range. But when we're talking the best of the best, when we're talking that range of people, we're talking about out of that range of the 10%, probably only about 20 to 25% of them will hit the mark. Let's just say 20% of those.
Right.
And so we're down to who can do the math here. Like we're down to like
I cannot.
We're down to 4% of the total roofers.
Yeah.
Are your competition.
Something like that.
Maybe. And that's a maybe, like 4%. And so and most of those people don't find it to us, so it might be down to like 2 or something. So if you want to be one of the guys that shows up in map ranking, organic ranking, reputation reviews, and has a proper branded web presence, there's almost no competition for that.
Right.
Now people come onto us, and I'll define we get people, they're happy, they stay. But how many of the guys that we get will actually do what they need to do? And it's about 20%.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we'll lose the other clients. It just means we see and when we see those outliers come in, we're like, hey, that dude's dogging it.
Yeah.
That dude's handling business, by God. And we'll kind of give
and that's almost always a long-term client.
It's almost always a long-term client. We'll kind of give a head nod, like, and we don't, I'll call them now to put them on Roofer's Paradise, but I don't always, like, sometimes I'm just like, we'll talk in the office and like, that guy's dogging it.
Yeah.
And you'll call that guy and he's up like $1 million in revenue.
Yeah. I mean, and they'll call me for, to have something changed on the site or just to ask a question. And those are the guys that I end up having a long conversation with.
Because they want to know more.
They say, hey, what else can we do?
Yeah.
How else can we improve how we're doing this? And I'll go look at their stuff and say, okay, here's what we can do.
Yep.
And they're very receptive.
Right.
And I can always tell. And that happens early on in the relationship. Like I'll have that first phone call like that within 3 months of launch. And then I'll have that conversation regularly, like at least once a quarter.
Right.
I'll talk like that to them.
So if you want to be one of these guys, I guess the moral of that little story is think about what you can do better, stay involved, and then hook up with and continue. The guys that never make it to the 10% are basically just believing whatever flows into their head, propaganda, negative self-talk, stuff like that.
Yeah. And the point I made earlier about you see some guy that's been at the top of search, top ranking forever, that doesn't actually mean that guy's doing everything right.
That's true.
It means that nobody else is doing better than what
That's
he's
true.
doing. Google wants to show a local provider for roofers. They don't want to show Wikipedia entries or directories or Home Advisor or stuff like that.
Right.
They want to show locals first. And if there's a guy that's local and has a website and has done it something, at least done some kind of half-assed web presence, but nobody else really has, he's the one that's got the top spot. But if you come on and do it right, you can take that spot from him.
So let's talk about that one a little more. So the people that you see in the pack 3, a lot of times they just don't. Google doesn't have a better choice.
Right.
Yeah. And so the guy that's up there that shouldn't even be up there based upon our feeling about it is up there because other people aren't fighting hard enough and he's got time and tenure. So he has some reviews and he's been up for 10 or 12 years. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so now if somebody came along and did a better content, better website, better signaling, better code base, better citations, and regular work and all that stuff.
All that stuff we do.
Yeah, all that stuff that we do and that a client that's wanting to work better does as well and participates in and builds a brand, that guy's going to beat that guy.
Right. So
let's talk about this, and I've mentioned this on multiple podcasts now, but people start a company and in a lot of cases, sometimes the roofer isn't here as much, but sometimes they're a salesperson, sometimes they're a contractor, sometimes they're a general contractor, rarely are they a company.
Right.
So definition of this, because I've thought about this like way too much, because it's like, what makes these people, and we'll talk about one of the clients, and what makes these people better than other people? What makes someone make it? I actually asked my business coach this on a podcast I did, like, what makes somebody succeed and doesn't? I have my own thoughts about it because I toil with this topic daily, just from me being an entrepreneur and trying to make it. But when someone starts out, a lot of roofers start out as salespeople. They don't know how to run a company, and they're hustling a lead. And this is kind of rude, but I'll say this about a lead. If people also get a lead, it can be okay. But most people that get a lead remind me of like a dope fiend, or a crack fiend.
We've talked about that before in regards to lead selling services.
Yeah, so it's nothing shameful necessarily about getting a lead. And it may be a little harsh for me to say that because I'm not that someone's on drugs, but it's the actions that they're taking, or they're living paycheck to paycheck, which again, I've done that as well. Yeah. But it's like, I got to have my check, so I'm going to the check cashing place. I cannot wait 3 days for them to validate this paper check through the bank. Right. So you're willing to let somebody take 6% of it or more, which is a large percentage of your net profit. Yeah. Right. So it's the check cashing place with fees and everything takes 6%, but it's more like all the money they would have had left over. Right. So it's all the net profit if you look at someone's monthly expenditures like that. So they have no money to invest because they had to pawn the check to get the money quick. Right. And so when somebody goes and gets a lead, they're hungry, starving, hustling, and they never get to the point of having easier time of it, and they may never.
They get tunnel vision on that, and they never raise up to get the big picture.
They don't. Yeah, and it took me forever to do this too, because I'm like, how do I get myself out of this? And so when somebody starts to run some processes, and I disagreed with my coach on some of this, like, because it's like, he claims you don't have a company until all processes run without the owner. We're not, Apple or Airbnb. We're
small business.
Yeah, I'm small business. I run, and me too, by the way. I've told you before, this is not a lot different in my head than a roofing company. We have about 20-ish people, 17, I don't know, with employees, subs and stuff, and everything that we do. So, and it's like, okay, the coach wants me to have all processes and procedures running without I'm able to step away for.
So that you go take 6 months off and everything would be fine.
Everything would be fine. But no offense to him, but he doesn't have a business.
If you came back in 6 months, building would be on fire.
Nolan, the Order of the Hand. You remember that? What was that? Saturday Night Live with Will.
When the teleprompters got turned off, and they went all Lord of the Flies.
Order of the Hand. He had killed everybody's bloody hand. Like y'all being here, like
you go off for 6 months, you come back up, be squatting in the office with a fire going.
Yeah,
who does that?
Body slamming people. I'm Ric Flair. Yeah. This is how we run things now, Nolan.
I think myself more as a Jake the Snake type.
Jake the Snake, really?
Jake the Snake was awesome. Don't disrespect Jake.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, I don't always agree to have a company you have to take to that level. In fact, I would argue opposite for a roofer or even for what I do. When you have service people doing service labor and you decided not to be involved at all, or let's say a 10-hour week, you're going to have a problem eventually. And every once in a while, stuff's going to break, and you're going to have to come in and spend a 60-hour week.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a company built into a brand and some processes and procedures, and you very well may do whatever you have a propensity to be better at. Like we just signed up a guy, badass dude named Otis, and he was an insurance adjuster. So he can job cost like nobody's business, and he's out on. Somebody else might sell like nobody's business. I'm sure Otis could sell as well, or they might do. We'll talk about that in a minute. They might have been a CPA or an accountant or finance guy.
Yeah.
And they do that better. But you're going to be involved or you're going to be screwed to some degree. But so you have involvement, but you have some infrastructure and procedures, and you definitely have a brand that's built from a marketing perspective.
Right.
And then you're a company, you're a brand, and then you can partake in better profits and a better, smoother running company.
Right.
We talked about that too. It's like somebody was talking. It was a guy I had on about the coaching guy that talked about preparing a contractor for sale. It's like, some people don't want to sell, like ever. I don't. I'm kind of in that camp to some degree myself. Like I see people sell, and then I see them hungry for money. Like.
Yeah.
I've never seen a contractor sell. Let me just put it this way, or let me rephrase it. I've never seen a small business owner sell that I knew personally that sold.
You mean like sold his whole business?
Sold his whole business and didn't go back into business.
Yeah.
So I've never actually met one, unless that man sold when he was really old.
Yeah, what he basically sold for retirement.
And he still bitches about it.
Yeah. And he never has enough money.
Yeah.
But we've had instances when clients of ours have sold their business and called us 3 months later because they were starting another business in the same industry.
Right.
Because retirement didn't last very long, or, for whatever reason. Sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out what their reasoning is.
Right. Yeah, but somebody needs to build the brand. And they need to digitally build the brand to get the leads to have the better business. And they can get up there because so few people do it. And people screw up at every little turn. Like they don't get reviews. They stop this. They see marketing. They stop marketing and stop marketing. They're like up and down, and they don't know. And they're like, "Oh, that's
pause my marketing.
My season's about to start. Fire it back up." And it's like,
well, you should have made that call 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, agree. I mean, there's no better time to start than now.
Yeah.
But you don't stop.
Yeah. I mean, that's presuming it was stopped. It should be started way in advance.
You should start, like, the best time to plant a tree was like 10 years ago. You start now.
Yeah.
And you don't stop. You fight, but 95, I'm going to say 95% don't try.
Yeah.
The effort's so piss poor, it's ridiculous. And the people that you see up in ranking aren't fighting as hard as you think they are.
Yeah. A lot of times they're just the best of a bad batch that Google has to offer.
Yeah.
And
there might be a few in a big market, but there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
That wants to fight. And we're the type of company that there's no one that brings the fight better than us.
I like that.
There isn't really, and it's not fake like wrestling.
Hey, don't use the F word.
Jesus. Calm down,
Get
Jay.
Dr. D in here and smack you upside the head. Does everybody remember the John Stossel incident?
No.
That was, remember the old news show 2020? They did a wrestling expose back in the 80s.
They call it, okay.
And Dr. D, he was a wrestler with the WWF at the time.
Right.
They had John Stossel confronted him like in the back at a wrestling event after the show and said, well, what would you say if I said this was fake? And Vince McMahon had told Dr. D, you lay him out if he says that.
Really?
And he did.
He
on TV. What? I mean, and it wasn't fake. John Stossel has ringing in his ears to this day.
To this day.
He sued the WWE.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah.
Did he win?
Yeah, and Vince McMahon fired Dr. D for doing what he told him to do.
Oh, wow. Well, calm down, Jason. Man. Everything's going to be okay.
Is this fake? Like huge open hand blow on the side.
I know those guys get arthritis in bad shape. I mean, at very least, they hit the ground at least, right?
Yeah. As Diamond Dallas Page likes to say, you can't fake gravity.
You cannot. Anyway, all right. So they only do one or two things. They stop after a while. Their signaling sucks, which means all their organic stuff sucks. Their websites suck. Their organic never gets changed. They only get reviews.
They get the reviews is one of the ones that drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
Because they've heard at some point that reviews are important, and everything you tell them goes through the filter of reviews. I was talking to a client the other day. He had 150 reviews, and he was like at a 4.9 star. Great, right? He had a competitor that had, this guy used to have the same number of reviews as me. About 2 months ago, he jumped up to having 450 reviews.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I don't like to accuse anybody of anything, but those are probably fake. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like 300 reviews appeared in less than a month or something like that.
Yeah.
So those are probably fake. And he's like, well, how can I do that? And I said, I'm going to recommend very strongly that you don't do that. Because eventually Google will figure out, they'll see the pattern, recognize the fake reviews, and they'll wipe all his reviews out. I said, just because he has more reviews right now, let's ignore the fact that they're probably fake and say they were legit. Just because he has 450 and you have 150 does not mean he beats you in ranking. It's not with most reviews wins.
Yeah, so somebody, I was looking up in a lead that we got, the message was looking for strong map listing. And there's a problem with that statement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so when a lead comes in like this for us, I'm like, uh-oh.
Damaged goods.
Yeah, this not necessarily good.
Yeah.
Because you can't get strong map listings without anything else.
Right.
So this guy's gonna be a problem. He's gonna. I'm calling him. No, I didn't.
Are we gonna call him right here?
No, I didn't call him.
Here's an example of an idiot.
No, I didn't call him.
No, he's probably not an idiot. He's just gotten bad information.
I didn't call him. Oh, I'll read one more. I'm going to read one more. So this goes into, they think that reviews is the only thing that makes a map show up. And actually the algorithm behind a map showing up. And then there's a couple of problems in here. So what do people want to beat people for? What are they number one for? The client's perception, the roofer's perception, all of you guys, all of them, all of you listening, any roofer, all thinks that the mapping is the number one thing to get a lead on. Now, here's the problem. When you focus and you do, I'm looking for strong map list rankings. There's multiple issues there. You don't show up for strong map rankings if you only work on map rankings.
Right.
Because the algorithm is very sensitive. And here's the kicker to the whole thing. Map rankings aren't the number one place to get clicks. It's simply not true.
Right.
And they will argue it with me. Every roofer will argue this, and I don't even think they believe me. So the average, if there's reports on this, the average one is, and I think people screw up this, I've said it several times, their brain like goes nuts and doesn't hear these words properly. The average one is 50-50. 50%, I've seen reports, 50% of map will bring in the clicks, 50% organic or keywords without the map.
Right.
Now, our client base, and this is where they misunderstand it, gets about 70-30. 70% organic clicks, that means the underneath the map or the map did not show up, guys. Yeah. Or 30% maps.
That doesn't mean they didn't show on the map. It means for that keyword, Google did not show a map pack.
Google did not show a map pack.
Right.
We are masters of all organic content, map ranking, and others. Our clients get vastly more map clicks, but they get astounding amounts more of organic non-map clicks because we include more content. Yeah. Like with our written content,
we go for a much broader spread of keywords.
Right.
We don't constrict ourselves to like your 5 favorite ones. Or
so let's put this into numbers because I think people misunderstand this. If somebody at one point had 100 clicks a month, then they were getting 50 from maps and 50 from organic. Our clients go to say 1,000 clicks in a month, and they're getting 300 from maps and 700 from organic.
Right.
So the map clicks went up, guys.
Tripled or sextupled.
Yeah, in this case. I mean, it's happened many times. I can't guarantee you what the numbers are going to be, but
but I mean, we've seen numbers very similar.
We've seen that very similar. So they go up drastically on maps, but it's lower than the organic because of data pins and massive amounts of organic long tail keywords, and it just goes on.
I want to make a quick point about the whole thing of not showing a map pack. Google shows the map pack if a given search is something that they have determined is someone looking for a local service provider and a map is relevant to show them. Yeah. So not every keyword connected to roofing business will show the map. If someone types in roofer near me, yeah, you're going to get a map pack for that. But if you type in a specific type of roof you're looking for,
GAF HD timberline shingle repair,
you're probably not going to get a map pack for that. But a roofer can still show up number one in organic,
right?
And just by the way, if you're up there for words like that have no map pack, that means there's 2 ads than you.
Right.
So you're way above the fold in that case.
Yeah, I mean it's the map doesn't show up a lot. Yeah. And people miss that. But our clients show up a lot for maps and organic.
And even more for all other organic.
So I'm gonna you never answered that question earlier, Jason.
Which question?
How did you study French and then become an expert on wrestling all at the same time?
I was a kid growing up in the 80s in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah,
and I'm Cajun, so that was kind of a family thing.
Okay.
Like I grew up with my grandma speaking French Creole.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My brain was like, that's right. What am I thinking?
Yeah, I grew up with my grandma
speaking. But you don't have that New Orleans accent that you can.
Well, no, because I grew up in Dallas. My dad does.
Oh,
you talk to my dad, he's got it. He's not like that heavy kind of thing you see in movies. But some of my relatives, if you go talk to them, they're unintelligible.
That's where they're French. Yeah, that's what I'm familiar with out of Louisiana. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So let me read you another one.
My cousin Teresa got mad when I named Henry instead of Henri.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good socially, Jason.
Well, I mean, his middle name's Rene because that's my ancestor that landed in Louisiana 150 years ago was Rene Landry.
Okay,
and so that's why I gave Henry that middle name. When I said I was going to name him Henry Rene, my cousin Teresa was like, "Now, is that Henry or Henri?" And I said, "It's Henry," and she was like, "God damn you and that Anglo-Saxon shit!"
Oh, good Lord, this is America, and this is Texas, by the way. You did the right thing.
She's
man.
in Louisiana, though.
Isn't it more fun
She's
to
in
throw this
Lafayette.
bullshit into that podcast? It's good bullshit, Jason. I like it. All right. So I'm going to read another one that lady sent. I'm not going to say who it is, but there's flaws in this thought process about how to be number one. How to be, and I'm not talking about one keyword. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands. Hi, I'm looking to get a quote on SEO for the services we offer. I'd like to know what it would take to be on the first page of Google for each service. That's a problem.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we talked about this one.
Currently, our best ranking service is blank repair, but the other ones are not doing too well. That's the reason why I don't want to renew with my existing company. I would love to chat with you about my business. I'm looking to double my revenue, and I only need to rank locally within 30 to 40 miles from our shop. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, but it's okay to not know this.
Right.
It's okay. I'm not making fun of that part of it, but there's so much. There's
so much misinformation.
They're so
that
far.
person has been given.
They're so far from success because their brain's so fried out on what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And there's other problems in here. Our services are blank repair. I'm just going to read them because this is. Our services are lawn sprinkler repair, landscape lighting, and Christmas lights. We don't currently have this, but thinking of adding pressure washing service.
Right.
So this goes into topical relevance and topical authority, and I'm not going to mention this company's name.
But the name is very generic.
The name has nothing to do with any of these services.
Yeah.
And by the way, sprinkler repair is completely different and has a whole category from pressure washing. Someone looking for pressure washing doesn't want sprinkler repair. Someone looking for sprinkler repair doesn't want a pressure washer.
Right.
And
nor do they want Christmas lights.
And I sure as hell don't want the pressure washing guy hanging my Christmas lights. Yeah. So, right? Maybe. Well, no, I'm stereotyping a pressure washer. Like I'm not. My son's going to start a little pressure washing business. I think it's a great business for him to get into. But every time I've had someone out to do my pressure washing, they're a little sketchy looking. A little sketchy. Little sketchy. A lot of guys in pressure wash. I'm not dogging it from that standpoint. There's a lot of roofers who pressure wash, but they know what I'm talking about. Yeah. If you're only pressure washing, you know, my kid's young. My kid's 13.
Yeah.
It's a good. I painted curves, mowed lawns. I'm not saying you got to start from top level on this stuff to get there. It's a learning process. Right. It will be for my son, just for everybody else. But you get a guy out pressure washing that's older doing just pressure washing. You know, it's a box of chocolates, man. You know? Yeah. So all right. So and they want to rank for this. They did list the services, but the services are varied. Ranking number one is subjective. What keywords exactly? What does that mean? What did you type in? Where were you? What is your company name? Is that mapping? Is that organic? Right. So there's all these problems. I can't please this person. Right. At all.
And double revenue.
We chose. I'll call almost any roofer that ever calls me. Yeah. If they're truly a roofer, even if they do exterior remodeling, I'll call them. This isn't my category necessarily.
It starts out being off category, but then this is not even in its own category because there's 3 categories there.
They're not topically relevant. Yeah. They don't know they don't have a category. There's no cohesion to the brand. Right. It's going to be, and then 30 to 40 miles in DFW. Are you effing kidding me? You know, like, are you kidding me? So the criteria, there's nothing here I can get to please. Yeah. And this is written out really quickly. This is what's on there. This is what they want. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Inside joke.
Inside joke.
Yeah, and the thing is, the 3 categories they want to show up, and those are different. Yeah. Those are different technically. The way Google looks at it, those are different businesses. We've talked about, on more than one occasion, we've talked about the idea of the entity. Yeah. The conceptual entity. And over here is pressure washing, and over here is lights. And Christmas lights might be a subset of that. Yeah. But at Christmas lights is its own entity. And then over here is the sprinklers.
Pressure wash,
is a different thing. And so those things are only loosely related in the Google map. And the mind map, not the, map pack. And so getting a single business to be associated with three things that aren't closely associated themselves is incredibly difficult.
It's not dumb, but I don't want to go in and change their name when they're off category and try to bring them out of where they are to where they need to be. So here's what I do with this business. They don't even have a name that says one of those things in it.
Yeah, their name is Person's Name Services.
I would do ABC Sprinkler Repair and Pressure Washing. Or ABC Sprinkler Repair. I'm not going to do that shit. That's why I don't want to call it. And Christmas tree lighting. I don't know. And
Well, I mean, I would actually, of those three things, the outdoor lighting with Christmas lighting as a little side deal, to me would probably be the most viable one.
It makes, I know what they're doing is, and I want to address this for a roofer because I do accommodate this.
Yeah.
They are addressing the fact that sprinkler repair in Dallas-Fort Worth doesn't occur all year long.
Right.
Yeah, so they've got a problem on their hands.
Yeah.
And so
they've done an extremely seasonal business.
But you can't really go like ABC Pressure Washing and colonics. I mean, it can't be like,
well, we already have the hose.
Yeah. We're set up. Yeah, so it can't be so.
Just grab your ankles there.
Yeah. It can't be so different that it's like, huh? So but what I would do, we got a roofer we signed up recently for, I think he's in like Kalamazoo, Michigan, but he's on the outskirts of Kalamazoo, and there's a couple of problems with this. It's too far outside of a major metropolitan area.
Right.
It gets cold in Michigan. So I think we have like some snow removal stuff, roof snow removal, ice dam removal, and he does decks. So we did roofing and decks. I think there's been one that's come through recently for that.
Yeah.
And so I will accommodate it, but it can't be like, and Christmas tree lighting. And a lot of roofers will do Christmas tree lights.
Yeah.
But it'll make you look like rinky dink on your name to do that. Like
because that's such a weird
sprinkler repair.
You do that for a month out of the year kind of thing.
Yeah, sprinkler repair and Christmas lights. Like, let's get someone more professional.
Yeah.
Like, colonics.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. It's like,
wash your insides and your outsides all at once.
So, but those things have to sync up. And if you have a problem like that, like you're in a cold area, do and decks or and, I don't know, masonry. Maybe.
Yeah.
But something that can be done during the off season, or and siding. You can hang siding a little easier up north than you can put on a roof.
And things like roofing and siding are more closely associated in the algorithm.
Correct. So it's not here it's miserable, by the way, to hang siding in 20-degree weather. But the guy just told me that. So it's like, yeah, okay, I can see that. So I want to wrap up a couple things here. You can I'm not going to say it's easy. I like that it's a light line, but it's easy. You got to hire. It's not easy, but it's easy. Call Roofing Webmasters. But seriously, you can do this, and it's a little easier than you think it is.
Yeah. And
almost all these people don't.
Most of the roadblocks to this are in your head.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually too, but yeah, so it's absolutely mental.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to what I like, good old faith. So you have to have faith when you're doing marketing and building your brand and your company.
Right.
And a roofer, and we've talked about this before, I'll go ahead and say it. It's not too rude the way I'll say it anyway. So a roofer will be very logical about job costing, very logical about the materials they choose to associate with. Right. Very logical about the roofing systems, high integrity, high business ethics. Very logical about the sales process. Very logical about the truck wraps and the expenses and the overhead. And watch all that stuff and research it. Very illogical when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, marketing comes up and some idiot salesperson for a digital marketing agency, not us, not me, but some jackass that doesn't know how to do shit that just happened to get you on the phone.
Right.
Starts firing off SIM or SEM rush reports to you and starts bullshit talking about, you're not up there for ABC roofing. Did you know that? What? Like, oh my God. And then they freak out. And and then they go down this rabbit hole of rage and misinformation and completely lose track of what's going on.
Right.
So you go for you have faith, you align with good people, like Roofing Webmasters. You can call us or call somebody.
Then call us when you figure it out.
Then call us when they screw your ass over. Oh, yeah. White cat. Where's my white cat?
We don't have one.
We don't have a white cat. But yeah, so and continue forward and with good faith and doing proper things. And get educated just a little bit, but you're not going to end up doing this better than us, no more than we could put on our roof better than you.
Right.
That's another problem that people, he laughed because you guys will get going, I'm going to have an internal marketing agency inside my roofing company. And then you have no resources except
I hired this one guy fresh out of college.
Yeah.
He says that his friend should do our website.
Yeah. Got come on. And you come up behind him and you're Mo and it's Shemp and Curly. Get to work, idiots. They're like, yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yeah, clonk, yuck, yuck, yuck. And the guy's sitting there and he doesn't know jack shit about anything hardly. And then the marketing doesn't work well. You don't know why. Doesn't mean you can't do some marketing things internally,
and you should.
But you cannot do all the marketing things internally. You should not devoid yourself of all professional services and support. That is not a good move. Not just because it pays me, but because you simply cannot duplicate some of the things that we do.
Yeah, it's like hiring. And this is like if a small business was to hire a lawyer to come work in their office full time.
Yeah.
To be their legal whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't bring your legal services internal. I mean, a big company does that, sure. A giant company has a legal department.
It's a great analogy.
But you, as a roofer with 20 employees, does not hire a lawyer to sit in your office all day just in case a legal question comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't go up to your lawyer and say, and we're professional services. We're not lawyers.
We're bringing that in. We're bringing that internally.
You go up to your lawyer and say, "Hey, man, that's bullshit defense. You can't do it this way." And do that. And say, hey, "No, let me try the damn gloves on, and just this is the way it's going to go down." Oh man, we're not going to let you try the gloves on.
I watched a YouTube video, and this guy says that we can win this lawsuit by doing this other thing. I think we should look at that.
That's essentially what people do to us. And we are the oldest.
I laugh or I'll cry.
The analogy of it is we're the oldest, most experienced, best attorney on the block.
Yeah.
There is no one better than us. And then so people look at stuff and go, and they actually call all the time and say, I got this email that says I wasn't doing well on this, that, and the other. What do you have to say for yourself? Sir, that's an email that's been being cycled around the internet for 14 years. I get the same one.
Yeah, we literally got that email today too.
The same one, and it's all untrue. And it's not unfair to ask a question. It's just
absolutely not.
The point is keep focused and keep on track.
Right.
Anybody watching this video knows more than the average person too. You're already in the 10th percentile.
Yeah.
Already.
Just by virtue of watching this.
Absolutely.
You have been informed.
I have inducted them into that by the
10%.
By the powers vested in me. You were in the 10%.
By myself.
Gray Skull or whatever. He-Man. The masters of the universe.
80s kids.
All right. So, guys, it's a long game, but it doesn't mean... And people hear a long game, they get spooked. You can get up and get money generated within 90 days. You might get a call.
I was talking to a new client recently, and we were going over, marathon, not a sprint, takes a little time. And he was like, are you talking 2 years? I'm like, Jesus, no.
People hear the most negative stuff.
I was talking 90 days, you're going to see something. Yeah, it's going to be 10 years before you see a dime out of this. Please keep paying this.
We're almost there, Bob. Transfer you to the hard closer, Jason. He just body slammed a couple of clients in the back. Right, no. It's not but that's what people think. One of the reasons that holds them back from doing this stuff.
Yeah.
All these false narratives, all this false stuff. They think, I can't. I'm going to go buy a lead because I can't afford to
They've had one guy tell them that they can get them up and ranking in 30 days, which they probably can't. And it didn't work. And then they had another guy tell them that it takes a long time. They had a guy say, we'll get to work on this. And then after 2 years, why aren't I getting results? Well, SEO takes time. It's like, you had time.
Yeah,
and then we get to them, and we're just very straightforward. but they hear some of the same things because all the SEO people, when you talk to them, say the same thing.
I expect
roughly
more from you than the word mofo, Jason, with your French background.
I'm sorry, I don't know the French for that.
For mofo?
For mofo.
Can you apply the dialect to it? How would you say it?
I don't know that.
Can you change the O to sound French?
Like, that's just
how
it's
just
it
O.
Yeah, there's not
a Frenchman would say mofo.
Probably. Except mother is mère. I don't know what the other word is in French. Mofo. But they probably have a completely different phrase because they have their own slang.
All right.
Anyway.
I think it's good, man.
Yeah.
Like, shit ain't interesting without saying some bullshit stuff anyway. But my brain thinks about that crap when people, when a regular conversation's occurring, I've got that little old monkey on the bike in the back, and the Homer Simpson, and one of them's drumming, and some crap going on. I got my smart brain, and there's that little sideshow bullshit.
Your Homer brain.
Yeah. My Homer Simpson brain.
Oh.
Anyway. All right, so so guys, most of this is just getting started and not giving up and hooking up with some good resources, learning a little bit. It's not, there's a lot that we do on our end, like provide software that we made and stuff like that. But this can be done by you, absolutely. Most of this is just me helping you as a business coach or consultant, saying you can do this, and hopefully you do have a branded, topically relevant name.
Yes.
And all that.
We've done a whole podcast just on that subject.
I won't go into it, but,
I was saying that so they can go find them.
Yeah, let me see if I can leave anybody. I will leave somebody with something. So I went through, I'll leave somebody with this. Say, Nolan, I'm still not ready. What do I do? What did I do to start? And so I'm not ready to call you yet. I don't know how much you are, but I'm going to start in 6 months. And I don't even want to call you until I've done a few things, anyway, so here's what my recommendation is at the very early beginning stages. Topically relevant name. So if you do need more than 2 services, it's roofing and.
Right.
And something similar. And then the word roof has to be in it. It can be roofer, roofing, but roofers, but that's roof's got to be in it. Right. Otherwise, it just won't optimize as well. And it should be in the name and in the URL, so it flows through. If you don't have this, don't change it without talking to us. This is not like
because if you've got a domain that you've had for 12 years
or 3 even,
the tenure of the domain might very well override topical relevance of the domain.
It depends. So it would depend. Yeah, it would depend on domain authority and how many reviews, how long it's been, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so, but if you haven't done it yet, put the word roof in it, and then the other word is not just a phrase like pro or DFW roofing pros. It's not, that's Dallas Fort Worth for you, those of you who don't know, but it would be like Walker, roofing, or Texas Strong roofing.
Something unique or brandable.
Something unique or brandable that's unique from the word roofing. So when Google sees it in search, they know damn well it's yours and it's topically relevant to your entity area of words,
right,
which is around roofing. And then you would take that and flow through the URL. It doesn't have to have the whole name in it. Don't go over 26 characters of the alphabet.
Right.
And you could shorten it, but make sure the word roof is in there, even if you have to acronym, part of your name. .com or whatever. Use a .com if you can, and then add TX or GA or whatever state to it on the end if you need to get the proper URL or a .com. And then get some reviews and get verified and attach it to a Google Business Profile.
Right.
And get the cheapest damn website you can get before you go legit. So at least something. People call all the time and say, they're apologetic. I'm sorry, I got this really crappy website, Nolan. Please don't make fun of me. I was like, I'm not going to make fun of you. I could give a shit anymore.
Although we actually do once he hangs
No,
I'm kidding. But look at this thing.
I think, honestly, we've been doing this for 12 years, and when I was a year or two in and immature and hadn't done it as long, I would poke fun at the website from time to time.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit anymore. I've seen thousands of websites. We're here to help people. So the website comes in, they're all bad compared to what we do.
Right.
All the websites are, and we make them better and do everything we can and move forward. So I am happy that someone has an effort, started up properly, and has a website.
Right.
That's it. And then if they give me that base and they've had it running for 30, 90 days, a year, 3 years, all the mo better.
Yeah.
There you go. What could I have said besides mo better? Yeah.
What is more?
What is mo better than mo better?
Très bon is very good.
Okay.
I don't know what more is. I know the pronunciation. I barely remember any of the words.
I'll never be that fancy, Jason. Never ever.
Très bon.
There you go. Well, hey, man. Anyway, all right. You got anything else to add to all this stuff? All right, guys. I think that's it. I'm done on that topic, but I think it's a good one. You guys can dominate, get to work, and get after it, and make all your dreams come true, man. Call us when you're ready. We'd love to hear from you.
As we say in the French, au revoir.